Hello and welcome to my video today. I have a new product in from 70mi. It is called the T800 and it's the premium kit. It is the world's first 3-channel 4K dash cam. It uses the Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 sensor for the front and rear cameras, full 4K, as well as a third channel that can record in 1080p for the interior of the car, if you wish. Today I'm going to be unboxing and installing it in my Fisker Ocean. So let's get started. And here we go. This is the box for the 70mi T800 premium set. I'm going to open it up, take the plastic film off so we can read the box easier. Got a good picture of the main unit. This is the 3-inch IPS display. And here is the interior camera. This can be rotated around different directions. And this is the rear camera. What else do we have on here? As I mentioned, front and rear 4K, 3-channel HDR. HDR is super important since when you have night driving, a lot of highlights can get blown out with the exposure. So I am interested to see how their HDR works. Sony Starvis 2 is a really high quality camera. It is 4G compatible. We have voice control, smart parking guardian mode, built-in GPS and ADAS, and it is Wi-Fi 6, 5 gigahertz. What else do we have on here? So basically the same information. The only additional thing I see on this side is buffered emergency recording. Of course, you can control this with a phone app. Supports up to 512 gigabyte SD cards, and it has a super capacitor. Just more detail on the back. All right, so let's open this up. All right, so on top, we have a whole bunch of information in here. We have the rear camera user manual, the main camera user manual, pretty detailed. We have a 70mi 512 gigabyte MicroSD card, dedicated for dash cams, so that is really good. So we'll be using that with the dash cam. We also have a couple of plastic inserts. These are for attaching to glass so that you can then attach the camera mount to this. This is for the rear camera. I am not going to be using this since I'm going to be mounting directly to the plastic on the liftgate, so I'm not going to be attaching to the glass. And we have 2 of the front ones. So basically you need to peel this off and then you stick this on the windshield. Make sure you clean the windshield thoroughly before you attach this because we want the adhesion to be pretty strong. We also have 3M double-sided tape for the mount. And it looks like another one for the rear camera. So let's see what we got here. I'm gonna remove the main unit itself. We have a screen protector on here. I'm not gonna take them off right this second, but this gives you a view of the side. We have the mount area here. We have the front camera lens. And then on the side, we have a power button, micro SD card port, and looks like a speaker, ventilation holes. We have some buttons for controls. And then on top, we have a couple of USB ports. We have the power port on the left and the rear camera on the right. And it looks like a microphone port over here. Let's look at the rear camera. It has a base where it can rotate to get the best angle, has some ventilation holes, slots on the back. We have some 3M double-sided tape already attached to the mount. And then on the side here, we have the USB power and video. So there we go. I'm going to move these out of the way. We have another box here. And we got some more things. We have the mount for the dash cam itself. This would get placed over here. So if you did need to remove the dash cam, you could do that. You just slide it off of the mount. This stays attached to the car. So that's pretty convenient. We have a 12-volt plug here that has 2 USB ports. And we have appears to be a long cable here. And this is a very long USB cable. And this looks like it's designed for the rear camera. This side goes towards the front, and this attaches to the camera. And we have a plastic pry bar to help with installation. And the last thing we have in here is another USB cable, and this is for the front camera. Oh, before I forget, I also have a circular polarizing filter, which is very good to use on dash cams since it can be rotated and helps block reflections through the windshield and glass in the car. So I highly recommend getting this as an accessory for any dash cam. I'm gonna open up the box here and show you the filter itself. As I mentioned, it rotates, and what you'll do is when you install it, you'll rotate this while viewing the image on your phone, and then you'll stop when you have the best image clarity. So the least amount of reflections is where you want to have the filter set at. So here is the dash cam, and this is the filter. So it would just go right on top. So I am going to mount it just like this. It should just go straight on. Doesn't need any adhesive or anything, it's just a friction fit. So very nice, easy to add filter to the dash cam. And I have the lines on the bottom, so when this is installed, I can easily see where it is, so I know where my settings will be. So just to let you know, I do recommend getting these. And by the way, the dash cam lens itself rotates, so you can angle it for the best viewing angle through the windshield. And there we go. And for the mount, you're going to line it up so that it looks like this, and then place it over the tabs right here like that. Then you press it back and it will snap into place. And you can see from this angle and this angle, you can see that it's flush around all the sides. So that's the correct way to install that. Remove the red backing plastic here when you install it, and then it's going to attach to this clear plastic on the windshield itself. So just like that. So when the dash cam is mounted in the car, it's going to be roughly in this position with the windshield facing that way. I'm going to be loading the micro SD card now just to give you a good example of how that works. You're going to take it so that the pins are facing the screen here, and then you're going to insert it into that opening and just use your fingernail to lock it in place. And it's in there, ready to be used. If you ever want to remove it and put into a PC to read the files, you can do that just by putting your fingernail in here like this, and then it comes out like that. At this point, we can go to the car and install the dash cam. So I measured the lengths of the power cables for the front camera. We have 11 feet 5 inches or 3.5 meters. And for the rear camera, we have 19 feet 8 inches or 6 meters. So plenty of length to reach both locations. So here we are in front. Here is the mirror. We have the mount for that right here. I am just going to test fit the location here to show you what it would roughly look like. Kind of in this vicinity right here. I'm going to make it pretty much centered right here. You want to have it level. You don't want to have it angled. You want to have it so that it matches up above it, which is straight across. So it's going to be roughly in this area here. You don't want it butt up against the mirror because then you can't remove it from the mount. You need at least a ½ inch or so that this will be able to be removed. So as much as I'd like it up in this area here for being more discreet, it's got to be down a little bit. Now I'm going to put the plastic on. Make sure the area here is clean. I've already cleaned it, but one more time through. All right, just to make sure I get this absolutely straight, I'm going to use a bit of blue painter's tape on one end here. All right, that looks pretty good. Going to peel back the protective plastic here. And I am going to push All right, I can now peel the red plastic off of the double-sided tape. There we go. Now I'm going to push it into place. I would hold on to that for like a minute or so, make sure that it adheres well. A little tip here, when I was positioning the dash cam, I had it so that the top of the dash cam was touching the mirror housing, and then I just moved it down a little bit and then attached it to the windshield clear plastic sheet there. And that allowed me to do this as straight as possible. I can now remove the protection from the interior camera, and then I will be able to angle that for the best viewing. And obviously this is optional. If you don't want to have your interior recorded, that can be turned off in the software. Here's how the dash can be removed. I'm going to attach the power cord right here, and I'm going to do a quick test. I'm also going to attach the power for the rear camera while I'm right here. And then I can reinstall it into the mount. All right, it is in place here. I'm going to do a quick check to see if the power is working. So I'm just going to quickly plug it into my USB port in the console area. And as you can see, we have the power button here. The LED is lit up, so that's a good sign. I am now going to pull off the protective plastic on the screen. So here you can see the screen here, and the buttons are along the bottom, so it highlights which ones you need to do. So if you want to change the initial system language is set for English, I am going to accept that. I'm going to press the check button. Check. You're going to pick your country region. I'm going to pick USA. And then we got screen switching, internal cam switch, audio switch, more functions. So that's pretty handy. So tap this to turn the screen on, because normally the screen will turn off after a little while. And then if you double click it, it will record an emergency video. All right, let's put our date information in here. Oops, I'll reset that later. Parking surveillance cable undetected. We're not going to be doing parking surveillance in this video. Then we have the app. So I can download the app by using that QR code. I'm going to do that a little later. Please format memory card. And we inserted the 512 gigabyte memory card. We're going to now format it. And it is now formatting. And I must say that a 512 gigabyte card limit is pretty good. A lot of other dash cams only allow up to 128 gigabytes. All right, so now we have a view outside of the windshield here. We have a couple different buttons. We can switch between the interior and the rear camera views by pressing this button. Hello. And then we have this button here. This is turning off the internal camera. So this camera, cabin camera here, is now turned off. So if you don't need that, if you just need the front and rear cameras recording, there you go. The interior camera is very handy if you're ride sharing. So if you do that as a side gig, yeah, that's pretty cool to record. Then we have microphone. We have audio recording on or off. I'm going to turn it off for now. And then we have this button here that is the menu button. We can go into a ton of different settings here. So we can go into video settings. We can pick the encoding format. I'm going to do high compression versus low compression. I don't know, let me do low compression. I usually like better quality. Image specs. You can adjust all the different cameras here. Front camera, inside, and back. Let's go back up to video encoding format. We'll do high compression. Now let's go to image specs, front camera. You got your choice of 4K or HD, so I'm going to keep it on the 4K. Inside camera, you only have one choice of 1080p. Back camera, I'm going to keep it on the 4K. And that's it for those. I'm going to go back. We got recording durations. That's how long these record until you loop to another video. So I usually like keeping it as long as possible. And then internal recording camera is off right now. That's fine. Picture quality. Oh, wow, interesting. They have something called demisting mode and rear camera transparent mode. I'll have to play around with those and see what those do. That sounds interesting. I'll leave them off for now. Picture in picture. So we can see the main cameras both at the same time. So you can turn that on and off. And screen display. You have lots of flexibility on which cameras you want to see on the screen. We can turn the logo on and off. I'm going to keep that on for now. Speed, that's going to show your speed. I'm going to keep that on. Latitude, longitude, I'm going to keep that on. Refresh rate, I'm going to keep that on 60 since that is standard for North America. Rear recording cam mirroring, so you can change the mirror image, so you can turn that on or off. And rear camera flipping, that means turning the image upside down. I'm going to see what it looks like when I install it. I may need to do mirroring or flipping. I'll see when I install it what that looks like. Live remote broadcasting always on. That means I can get it through my phone. And yeah, so that's it for video. Let's go to emergency video recording. Interesting. So now we get to see what that looks like. You can see the little button here flashing. And that is saving the video, probably the last 3 minutes, to a separate file, so it won't get recorded. All right, interesting here. Let's go and look at the other menu items. So we're going to go to video settings. We got album now. Let's see what album does. That's going to stop. Then you got all your different videos. So for example, I just recorded an emergency video, so that shows up. They have parking surveillance, time-lapse recording, front camera photo, internal camera photos, rear camera photos, and all video. So pretty cool. I am going to exit out of that. I'm going to go to the next setting. They have parking surveillance. There's a whole bunch of settings you can do for that. I'm just going to go and show you what is available. So let's go to the next thing. We got smart travel. We have emergency video. We have ADAS. Let's see what ADAS says. So enable ADAS functions to configure additional settings. And keeps the front end centered and horizon within the highlighted area. Okay, interesting.
Alarm disabled. Start calibrating ADAS. Please keep the driving speed above 40 kilometers per hour or 25 miles per hour.
All right. So there's some ADAS things you can do with this that are pretty cool. I'm not driving the car right now, so I'm going to cancel out of this since this is not, I'm not going to be able to do those settings right now. Let's go back to smart travel again. We got the ADAS, we got voice control. So you can turn voice control on and off. You can pick your language. And that's it for that section. Let's go on to system settings. We have Wi-Fi, so you can go through and set a Wi-Fi hotspot. We can Wi-Fi upon startup be turned on and off. Wi-Fi frequency range. Then sound settings. You're going to be adjusting the sound. You can turn the sound on and off if you don't like the sound. And You can also turn button sound off. I'm going to turn button sound off. Let me do that. Press that one. So when I press the button, it does make the noise. It's a little less. Audio recording we have off for now. Speaker volume, you can set speaker. We have it on medium, high, or ultra high, or low. I'm going to turn it to low. I usually like it a little quieter. Yep, so that's it for that one. And let's go down to screen standby mode. So that means you can have the screen always on. You can have it turned to a clock screensaver, or you can have screen off. So I'm going to have it do the screen off. Well, I'm going to keep it on now for testing, and then I'll eventually have it set for screen off. It doesn't need to be on all the time. Auto off when stopped, so you can have that setting here. So you can have the dash cam turn off after 10 minutes, let's see, 20 minutes or 5 minutes, or never. So that's pretty handy. So if you want, you can just have it say, oh, I want to stay on for 5 minutes. Now let's go down to the next thing. We have time. Oh, manually calibrate with system time. Let me change that because I remember I messed this up. 3:24. So you can easily change the time. And then you can also have GPS auto timing if you wish. And then what else we got here? We have system language, date format, speed. What is that? Oh, you can choose your speed, kilometers or miles. And then we have satellite positioning. Wow, so it can see all the satellites. Very cool. Download app. That gives you the QR code. And then you got an about screen. That gives you the current version, which happens to be 1.0.118 WW. And it was released May 26th, so pretty recent firmware. Format the SD card. And then you can also restore factory settings. So that's pretty much it. So very easy to use menu system and lots of options that you can modify. So I give it a thumbs up for that, for ease of use. The buttons are easy to understand. I like that you have the buttons, hard buttons below, but the button meanings are visible above it. So yeah, I like this a lot. So that's the menu system. Let's get on with the rest of the installation. To make things a little bit easier, I'm going to move the visor out of the way. And here is our dash cam. We have the two cables here. We have the power for the dash cam and then the power in video for the rear camera. So now you got a couple of options here. You can take these cables and route them to the left by the driver's door, or you can mount them right by the passenger door. And what you'll do is you'll route them underneath the plastic trim and then up above where the trim meets the windshield glass. And then you're just going to tuck them all along the length till you get to the door. So you can either have both of them go the same direction, which is what I'm thinking of doing. If you wanted to have a direct wired connection, then I would route the cable onto the driver's side and then down the driver's side door, since the fuse box is on that side. So if you want to do a direct wire system, I would do that. If you want to connect to the rear of the car, for example, the 12-volt power is on the right side of the car. I have a bunch of things powered by that port, and I have a 12-volt extension that goes under the passenger seat. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this wire. I'm going to have this go down the door, across the door threshold to the rear seat, and then I'm going to have that location where it's going to get powered. Now this cable here, I'm going to route all along the roof from the A pillar, B pillar to C pillar, all the way to the back of the car. And then I'm going to have it come out by the lift gate and I'm going to mount the camera to the liftgate and then hide the cable so that it's under the trim so it's not as noticeable. So that's a summary of what I'm going to be doing next. So you can use the included plastic pry bar or trim tool, or if you have any others in your garage, that will help too. So the main power cable is now hidden there, and I'm also going to route the rear camera cable right along next to it. And if you really want to hide these wires well, you could detach this trim up here and then tuck the wires underneath, which is what I think I'm going to be doing. And then that will allow the wires to fit underneath here and look pretty nice since they'll be hidden. As we go up this way, we're going to be tucking the wires underneath the headliner and the windshield area right here, and then just have it go all the way to the A-pillar of the car. Once you get to this area here, you're going to need to carefully lift this edge of the headliner up to get the wires across. You don't want to be going in the area here where the airbag is. So I'm going to have it route underneath this area and then go out to where the weather trim is. I'm going to actually pull the weather seal down a bit so I can access this area. Okay, at this point, I tucked all of the wires behind the trim piece here for the headliner, and I have it basically going in this direction behind here and then coming out by the door. Here you can see the wires coming out from the A-pillar. I pulled down the weather stripping. You can pull this all the way down like that. And eventually I'm going to have to pull up the door threshold so I can route the wire. So I'm going to have the camera for the back is going to be going along the roof line here. So I'm going to just leave that as it is. Just tuck that in the headliner area. And then the power cord, I'm going to route this all along here to this area around the corner and just kind of route it all behind the trim pieces. Pull up the door threshold with a plastic pry bar and it will come out. So the wire for power is right here. I'm just going to route this down all along the inside here. I happen to have another power cord here. I'm just going to leave that one in place. And then here, it's just going to go underneath the seat. And it's also going to get tucked under the trim plastic right here. So just tuck it all along inside here. And it's all hidden. Now I can put the threshold back in place. And everything is hidden. So I have the USB coming out from the trim. I have the 12-volt extension coming from the trunk. All I need to do now is attach it to one of the USB ports and then I have power. There we go. And then I can tuck this underneath the seat and it's all good. So back to the rear camera power and video. I have it coming out of the A-pillar right here. And now I'm going to just pull down on the weather stripping here. And I'm going to have access down here. And inside the headliner here, I'm going to route the cable all along here and just have it go past the B pillar and to the C and D pillars. So just route it all along the roof and that should be good. So now I got the wire through there and I'm just going to keep on routing it towards the back. So once I get it back past the C pillar here, I'm going to tuck it in between the roof and the trim and just have it go all the way to the back corner. By the time we get to this area here, we're going to probably have a lot of extra wire. So you can tuck it down along the liftgate area here. I'm going to have it go behind this. And then come out where the weather seal is. All right, so I tucked all the extra wire behind all this trim piece here. There's plenty of space inside the cavity. Now, the next decision we have to do is where we want the wire to come out to go to the liftgate. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to temporarily have the wire come out here, and then it's going to attach up here where I'm going to put the dash cam. Now, if you really want to hide this, you could route the cable through the grommet and go through these rubber hoses where the other wires that go to the lights are routed through. So you could go through the underside area here of the headliner, go through the rubber hose, come out here, and then on the inside of this, you'd have to pull this trim out and you could fish the wire out and then just have the wire come out here. And then the dash cam is going to be located right around here. So I guess if you wanted to, you could put the hole right here for the cable to come out, and then it would be super clean installation. I'm not going to be doing that right now because I just want to get this installed and I need to do multiple installations on my car, so I can't do anything permanent at this point. So I'm going to be placing the camera right around here. I want to make sure it's close enough, but it's not touching the glass so the glass can move when you open and close it on the liftgate. And this is about as centered. And I have it lined up on the defrost lines, which helps greatly because then the camera will be level with the horizon. Just to help me line this up, I'm going to put a piece of tape right here so I know how far away to place the mount. And it should go right there. All right, so I'm going to peel off the protective plastic here. And then I am going to place it on. Get that angle right. Now I'm going to press it very firmly down. And while I have it here, I'll take the protective plastic off of the lens. Don't need that anymore. All right, and then we can plug in the camera. We have the cable right here. I'm going to play around with the location of the cable here. I may have it go a little bit further over so that when the liftgate closes, the cable is not touching any of the weather sealing. As you can see right here, I kind of have it coming up this area here, going across. I may just have this extended. I'm going to play around, see which works best when I open and close the liftgate. And then if I need to, I can always use some tape to hold down the cable. And here we go. We are fully installed. I think this is going to work just fine for now. And like I mentioned, if you want it to look really nice, route it through these hoses up through the trim and then cut a hole in the trim for the cable up top. But otherwise, this works great. It doesn't have any issues blocking the view out the back, and it also doesn't have a problem with the weather seal. So I'll give you an example by closing it. And then the cable right here is inside the car, no issues. So you can adjust the camera up and down depending on how you like it to look. I'm going to lower it a little bit and see the image. All right, so I've installed the rear camera, but if you notice on the screen, everything is upside down. So I need to go into the settings and update it. So I'm going to go into, let's see, am I going to have to go into video settings? And then I'm going to go into, here we go. I'm going to flip. And let's see what that looks like. And there we go. We now have the image and everything looks good. And now I have finished the installation. The 7DMI T800 dashcam with dual 4K Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 sensors and the interior camera for a total of 3-channel simultaneous recording system. Here's a view of the front dashcam through the windshield. And now for the rear dash cam that you can see more clearly with the liftgate window lowered. So I am expecting very high video quality from this system. I will also be showing that in the follow-up video along with the phone app demonstration, circular polarizing filter setup, and daytime and nighttime driving. Look for this video in a few days. One of the things I'm interested in seeing is the HDR for proper exposure and the MyColor Vivid Plus solution in different light situations, especially difficult to see license plates with headlight glare at night. So far, I have been impressed with the easy to use menus and detailed settings to customize the dashcam to my needs. Optional direct wire kit to allow surveillance while the car is parked and monitoring to protect the 12-volt battery. The kit also includes 4G connectivity to transfer video anywhere when you use with a data network SIM card. The included supercapacitor operates in a wide range of temperatures. The installation was easy to do with plenty of USB power cable length for the front camera. I was able to route it across the dash, down the A-pillar, through the door threshold to the passenger seat. You can also route it to the center console if needed. Then the rear dash cam had more than enough power and data cable to reach the liftgate for installation. Well, that covers today's part 1 video. If you're interested in the 70mm T800 dash cam, look for the links in the video description. There are a variety of kits on the website and also on Amazon. Be sure to use my discount code for purchases on the 70my website. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.